Right now, you open a group chat and notice everyone met without you. Nobody insulted you. Nobody touched you. But your stomach drops, your chest tightens, and suddenly one innocent photo feels like a tiny emotional knife. That reaction is not modern drama. Checking whether you still belong is one of the oldest survival habits in your body. It is older than writing, older than farming, older than cities, and probably older than our species. So why does being left out hurt so much, even when the tribe is just four friends ordering pizza without you? To answer that, we have to begin before humans existed. Long before anyone invented friendship bracelets, social animals faced a brutal equation. Stay with the group and gain protection, information, food, warmth, and mates. Lose the group and lose access to nearly all of it. You can see that equation in primates today. Baboons form relationships through grooming, proximity, and mutual support. These are not decorative friendships. They can change an animal's chances of surviving and reproducing. In 2009, primatologist Joan Silk and her colleagues examined years of observations from wild female baboons in Botswana. Females with stronger, more stable social bonds were more likely to have infants that survived. Other long-term primate studies have linked strong relationships with longer lives. Apparently, even baboons benefit from having a reliable group chat. But here is the key. Evolution does not need to make isolation intellectually disappointing. It needs to make isolation feel bad immediately. Hunger pushes you toward food. Thirst pushes you toward water. Physical pain pulls you away from damaged tissue. In the same way, the distress of exclusion can push a social animal back toward its group before separation becomes dangerous. The pain is the feature. Now move forward several million years into the strange experiment that became humanity. Our ancestors did not evolve claws, armor, enormous teeth, or particularly impressive sprinting speed. Put an unarmed human beside a leopard, and the betting market closes very quickly. Instead, hominins became increasingly dependent on cooperation. They shared information. They defended one another. They carried food. They learned skills from older individuals. They raised children who remained helpless for an absurdly long time. That strategy was powerful, but it created a new vulnerability. A creature built for cooperation cannot simply shrug when cooperation disappears. One remarkable clue comes from Dmanisi in the Republic of Georgia. Archaeologists there uncovered the remains of early Homo dating to roughly 1.8 million years ago. Among them was skull D3444 with its matching jaw, D3900. The individual had lost almost every tooth years before death. Think about that. No supermarket soup, no blender, no emergency delivery app. Yet this person survived for a significant period in a harsh, prehistoric landscape. Perhaps the individual processed soft foods alone. But researchers, including David Lord Kippenitz, have argued that group assistance is also a plausible explanation. Someone may have shared suitable food. Someone may have tolerated a member who could not contribute in the usual way. That fossil does not prove kindness. Bones rarely leave motivational speeches. But it reveals something crucial. By 1.8 million years ago, survival could involve relationships lasting beyond immediate usefulness. Belonging had become infrastructure, and as human cooperation grew more complex, so did the cost of losing it. Fire likely raised that cost again. At Kizim Cave in Israel, archaeologists uncovered a large central hearth used repeatedly roughly 300,000 years ago. Around it were burned animal bones and stone tools. Evidence of people returning to the same organized space to process and share meals. The fire did more than cook meat. It created a valuable social center. Near it, you could eat, stay warm, make tools, exchange information, and sleep with other people between you and whatever was breathing outside. But a shared hearth also creates rules. Who contributes? Who receives a portion? Who sits close? Who gets trusted with children or tools? Once survival resources move through a group, reputation matters. A bad social position can become a bad nutritional position very quickly. The warmest place in prehistory was probably complicated. Now imagine a small hunter-gatherer band. The same people help find food, watch for danger, care for children, teach you where water appears during drought, and remember which mushrooms turn dinner into a funeral. There is no police department, hospital, retirement plan, or online tutorial called How Not to Die This Winter. The group is all of those things. If the others stop sharing with you, the problem is not loneliness in the modern sense. It is calories. safety, knowledge, your children's future, possibly your life. That means our ancestors needed extreme sensitivity to tiny social changes. Who stopped making eye contact? Who did not share? Who whispered when you approached? Who moved away from the fire? The individual who noticed early could apologize, repair a relationship, find an ally, or join another group. The individual who noticed too late might discover that exile had begun after everyone else already knew. Your brain became a social smoke detector. And smoke detectors are not designed to be calm. They're designed to be annoying enough that you act. Around 50,000 years ago, a Neanderthal man, now called Shanidar I, lived in the Zagros Mountains of present-day Iraq. His skeleton was excavated at Shanidar Cave by archaeologist Ralph Seletsky's team in the 1950s. His body had endured astonishing damage. He had a withered right arm, serious leg injuries, damage around one eye, and bone growths in his ear canals that researchers Eric Trinkoz and Sebastian Balot concluded would have caused major hearing loss. Yet many of those injuries healed, and he survived into what counted as old age for a Neanderthal. Again, we should be careful. We cannot reconstruct every meal or know exactly how much help he received. But surviving for years with those limitations strongly suggests tolerance and probably assistance from others. He was not automatically discarded. Here's what makes this so important. Belonging did more than keep individuals alive. It allowed humans and other human species to accumulate knowledge across generations. Once groups supported injured adults, slow-learning children, skilled elders, and people temporarily unable to provide food, information no longer had to disappear whenever one body became vulnerable. How do you shape a difficult stone point? Where do animals cross the river? Which plant reduces fever? When does the dry season begin? One person can discover an answer. A bonded group can preserve it. Connection became a survival technology, and exclusion became one of its most powerful controls. As settlements expanded into towns and states, humans turned that ancient fear into an official punishment. Ancient Athens made the idea almost comically literal. During the 5th century BCE, Athenian citizens could scratch a person's name onto a broken piece of pottery called an ostracon. If the vote met the required conditions, the chosen citizen could be sent away for 10 years. Thousands of these pottery fragments have been recovered. The statesman Themistocles, celebrated for his role against the Persian invasion, was later ostracized around 471 BCE. One decade you save Athens. The next, Athens writes your name on trash and asks you to leave. Politics remains consistent. The punishment mattered because it attacked more than location. Exile cut a person away from influence, identity, protection, reputation, and the community in which their life made sense. Societies around the world used banishment, shunning, expulsion, and public disgrace because removing belonging could control behavior without touching the body. The body still got the message. But how does an ancient social alarm become the actual ache you feel today? In 2003, psychologists Naomi Eisenberger, Matthew Lieberman, and Kipling Williams placed participants inside an fMRI scanner and had them play a simple virtual ball-tossing game called Cyberball. The participant believed 2 other people were playing online. At first, everyone received the ball. Then the other players stopped throwing it to the participant. They simply passed it between themselves. That was the entire insult. 2 cartoon strangers withheld a cartoon ball. It still hurt. The researchers reported that exclusion-related distress tracked activity in the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, while another region in the right ventral prefrontal cortex was associated with regulating that distress. The result became famous because some of the systems involved also participate in physical pain. But here's the thing. Social pain and physical pain are not literally identical. The brain regions highlighted in early studies do many jobs, including detecting conflict, salience, and threats that demand attention. Later research has shown both overlap and meaningful differences between the neural patterns produced by rejection and bodily injury. So the accurate conclusion is more interesting than rejection equals a broken leg. Your brain appears to process social separation using part of the same broader alarm machinery that tells you something important is wrong. Different injury. Shared urgency. Kipling Williams argues that ostracism rapidly threatens 4 basic needs: belonging, self-esteem, control, and a sense that your existence matters. That explains why being ignored can feel strangely worse than open disagreement. If someone argues with you, at least you're present. You can respond. You still affect the room. But when people act as if you're invisible, you lose connection and control at the same time. Is social quicksand. Your next reaction depends on what your brain thinks will work. If reconnection seems possible, exclusion can make you watch faces more carefully, imitate the group, cooperate, apologize, or seek approval. You become socially flexible because your ancient alarm is shouting, "Get back inside." But if acceptance seems impossible, the same pain can produce withdrawal, anger, or aggression. Why obey a group that will never take you back? This is why rejection does not create one predictable personality. It creates a threatened person searching for control. Sometimes that means pleasing everyone. Sometimes it means pretending you never cared. A classic human performance. Then we built the internet. For most of human history, social information arrived slowly and from a limited number of people. Now your brain can monitor hundreds of relationships before breakfast. Read receipts reveal that someone saw your message. Photographs reveal the event you missed. Like counts turn approval into a scoreboard. An algorithm can display 20 thriving social circles while you sit alone eating cereal. Your nervous system did not evolve for this amount of evidence. And it makes a predictable mistake. It treats ambiguity as potentially important. Maybe they forgot to reply. Maybe the plan was spontaneous. Maybe the invitation disappeared into a chaotic chat. But your smoke detector prefers a false alarm to missing the first signs of abandonment. So it builds a case. You replay the conversation. You inspect punctuation. You compare response times like a detective whose only suspect is himself. Then you feel embarrassed for caring, which adds a second pain on top of the first. But caring is not weakness. It is an old protection system operating in a new environment. That does not mean every exclusion should be ignored. Sometimes the group really is treating you badly. The useful move is to separate the alarm from the verdict. The feeling says, check this relationship. It does not automatically say, you are unwanted everywhere. One missed invitation is data. It is not your entire social identity. You can ask directly. You can reconnect with someone safe. You can invest in groups that return your effort. And if a community repeatedly makes your existence feel negotiable, leaving it for a healthier one is not evolutionary failure. Humans survive by finding belonging, not by begging one particular tribe forever. So here's the full picture. Social animals evolved alarms that made separation difficult to ignore. Early humans turned cooperation into food, defense, childcare, and knowledge. Ancient groups kept vulnerable members alive, making relationships more valuable than immediate usefulness. Civilizations discovered that exile could punish a person without drawing blood. And modern experiments revealed that even a cartoon ball can activate the brain's emergency response to exclusion. So when you open that group chat and feel your stomach drop, you are not reacting only to a photograph. You are feeling millions of years of social survival. Ask one urgent question. Do I still belong? The modern world gives that alarm too many buttons to press. But beneath the notifications, it carries a simple truth. Humans became powerful because we needed one another, and needing one another meant that disconnection had to hurt. The pain of being left out is the scar left by our greatest strength. If you enjoy tracing ordinary feelings back through human history, you might like the next story too.